So cold showers are going to increase your testosterone.
Unfortunately, it's claimed that that's the case, but they acutely reduce testosterone.
Testosterone's not having an easy ride of it at the moment, isn't it?
It's because your balls are outside your body, not your balls, but one's balls are outside the body to maintain a very kind of narrow range of temperature. So if you mess with it, they don't function optimally.
Cold water therapy or the likes of your ice baths, cold plunges.
Yeah, cold water therapy is popularized by Wim Hof. He's the guy who held the world record for sitting in ice water for the longest time, and his story was really compelling. He's got ticks all the boxes of the guru, because he's got the origin story and he's a really magnetic kind of guy. And there is actually some truth to the claims that he makes. So the claims of cold water therapy are immune boosting, mood boosting, and spiritual or willpower benefits. There is also a claim that it boosts testosterone. So if we look at the reality and the data in this, cold exposure is something that you are able to improve your tolerance to cold exposure. So if you expose yourself to cold every day, you're going to get better at tolerating cold. Is that a good thing in itself? Maybe, if you like running around outside without your clothes on. But what about the benefits that are claimed? You've got the acute bump in certain immune markers that in the Wim Hof study, the famous one is that they injected groups of people with an endotoxin and exposed them to cold with breathing or a control group. And the people who did the breathing exercise with cold exposure were able to clear the endotoxin faster, so they mounted a better immune response to that toxin. Quite cool. As for whether it applies to if you're unwell and you do that stuff, I'm not sure. I think we haven't seen much outside of that kind of study environment, but pretty interesting. I've done it myself for a long time. Have you ever seen the film Fight Club?
Oh God, I don't watch films.
So I think it's one of the 3 films I've ever seen, but there's basically a bit in there where they're talking about, because they create a fight club and they have fights with each other in the evenings, and it's a secret society. And they say after you've had a physical fight with someone, everything else in life is so much easier. The volume on everything else has been turned down. And I think that's certainly the effect that you get subjectively from having a cold shower first thing in the morning. Like, you roll out of bed, you're comfortable in the nice duvet, and then you get out, shower on the coldest setting, blast yourself for 3 minutes. Everything else feels quite easy after that. So that's definitely quite a nice benefit. And it makes sense that you can improve your willpower with that as well. First time you try it, you will hate it. You get the brain freeze. It's experienced as just pure pain sensation, but it's almost like the first time you have a chili. You're like, oh, that's painful. And then you go, but actually, quite like another one.
Yeah, I could get used. Can I ask the question? If I'm seeing a lot of things even on Amazon now, where you can get the purpose, almost like it looks like a little pop-up bin that you can put in your garden, and it's a designated ice bath. Is that something that someone needs, or is a cold shower cold enough to mimic the benefits? We don't need to be jumping in a lake in Scandinavia. A cold shower is enough.
I would just be progressive about it. So if it's something you want to try, start with just having a normal shower and then just turning it cold for 30 seconds and then warming it back up. So you've got like a hot, cold, hot, and then maybe start on cold, and then maybe try start on cold, have a bit of a warm shower, and then end on cold. And so that you're getting used to it rather than just throwing yourself straight into Swedish fjord or something. In terms of, does a shower confer the same benefits as cold immersion? I imagine not. But what's interesting is that cold immersion is better, as far as I know, than the expensive cryo chambers that use the liquid nitrogen. So don't waste your money on the cryo chambers, just go for the low budget approach.
I heard that it was something to do with immersing your head. Is that correct? That you need to make sure that this portion of your head is submerged. Is that completely BS? So
you get a parasympathetic reflex response called the diver's reflex when your face is submerged with cold water. So that might be what they're referring to. Having cold on your head is just brain freeze, and it really hurts. So I would prioritize your face rather than like your scalp if you're going to go down that route.
And can I ask one more question on this? We've actually, without maybe saying it, we've hinted more of this as a morning practice. The only other time that I could imagine me doing this would be potentially post-workout. Would there be any difference or benefit either? Does it not stunt hypertrophy, or does it?
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that. So in the morning, because it produces a stress response, so you will get a downstream set of hormonal and neurochemical cascade of stress response when you're exposed to cold. Again, the reason it acts like coffee is because it does that, gives you a bit of a boost, and then as you respond, you get better at tolerating stress later on. It's the same reason that exercise works well, because exercise is short-term intense exercise, short-term acute stress, so that you can handle chronic stress later on. Whereas if you ever had one of those days where you just sat doing nothing all day and then you try and get to sleep and you're still feeling a bit wound up, and because you've not really moved your body and done something vigorous. So using cold shower pre versus post-workout, it blunts the hypertrophy response, because when you train, particularly when you lift, you induce an inflammatory response, and that inflammatory cascade is actually what triggers the hypertrophy, the muscle size gain and recovery. So if you interfere with that immediately after training, you can improve your recovery but not your hypertrophy. So let's say you've got a competition coming up and you need to just not be sore the next day, you could go for that as a quick fix, but it's going to blunt your gains long term.
I wonder if Pure Gym East Sheen has an agenda. Their showers are always freezing. Maybe what they're trying to do is, I don't get any muscular gains, so I have to keep going back. So my recovery is on point, but I'm not gaining any muscle. Their showers are so cold. Interesting. I'll run that by the management.